Stunning. Alright guys, what we're talking about today, we're talking about putting on the Bilstein rear shocks on a 6th gen Dodge Charger. Alright, as you can see, there is the original shock OEM already out. Right, and here's the Bilstein shock already in there. Now, up top is going to be two 16mm bolts. And back here where that wrench is going to be a 15mm. If you notice how I got that 15mm wrench on there, you're going to need that because when you use your ratchet to unscrew this bolt over here on the 18mm, it's going to spin, right? And we all know why that is. That's to keep vibration, and when it's driving, it keeps that bolt from coming out. The whole thing spins. But when you're taking that bolt out, you're going to need to be able to secure that so it doesn't spin. Right, so you're going to have a long bar, a long wrench like that, that's going to press up against the body of it. Anytime, just like I said with the stabilizer bar earlier video, you need to keep that bolt from moving. Right, so as you can see, I need to change these rear stabilizer bars to bar ends. Right, but anyway, back to this. Alright, so down here you're going to use your impact gun, impact wrench or whatever right there. And you're going to take that nut off while I'm, of course, locking that wrench down so that nut doesn't spin. But before you do that, you want to take some of this load off, and that's where your jack comes in at. You're going to take your jack, and you're going to take your jack and press it up against the lower control arm to push that up. That compresses the shock. As you can see, it goes up when I press it to get some of that pressure off of that bolt. And when you're putting it back, you want that load back on there. So you're going to jack it all the way up. So when you tighten that nut down, that load is fully on there. Because if you don't have this jack up under here and it's just hanging and you try to tighten that bolt up there, obviously when it goes on the load, it's not going to be fairly secure. And that nut is just going to be shaking around. Right? Now, a cooler trick is when you're putting this shock back in, right? It's hard to get when you take this nut off, and you're gonna have to take a hammer and bang this in right here. Because once this nut come off, the weight and the load is on this bolt that's through here. So you're gonna have to take a hammer and bang this out that way, and it's gonna come out the other end, of course. But when you're putting it back in, and you kind of have to line the whole of, you're gonna have to line this hole up, right? And you're gonna line this hole back up, and when it's in that little slide, it's gonna be hard to do. So what I do, a hack is to take like your extension for your ratchet. You're gonna take that and just put that in there to hold the place of it, right? Let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Obviously, I already got it back in there and it's already screwed in there. So you're gonna, let's just say this bolt is not in here and there's a hole, and you're trying to put this, you're gonna drop this back down in there. You need to put something in there as a placeholder, so when you screw that bolt in from the other end, that bolt will come right through there. Otherwise, the eye hole of the shock won't line up with the eye hole of this lower control arm. So this is a hack. You just stick this in there as a placement to hold it in place, and then you push this bolt right here through that, back through here, and that'll knock this out. So this is just a placeholder in there when that bolt can push right through, right? And so like I was saying is, now when you're taking this out, I kind of went a little fast forward here a little bit. But when you're taking this out, of course, like I said, you're gonna have your other 15 on that end, long wrench, and your 18mm impact gun on this end. Drill that bolt off, unscrew that bolt off, and hammer that out. And it's still gonna be under load, so you're gonna have to kind of compress this down and pull this out. So you can kind of by hand. This shock is not hard to compress, right? Especially when they get old. So you can push this down by hand, grab it by the neck and with two hands and just push it down. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's compressing. You see how it's compressing right there? See it go back up? It's easier to push down like that. And when you press down on it, taking it out, you're gonna grab it by the neck, press down, and pull it out like that. It'll come right out of there. Of course, that's after you take these bolts out first. You're gonna do the bottom first, and then you kind of come up here, take these two out, pull this down and out like that. And putting it back in, you're gonna do the opposite. You're going to take this right here, stick it down in that hole, and compress it and jig it back up in that little slot right there, and then put your two bolts back in right there. Now it's gonna be kind of hard to do that, so you can take like a little pry bar that I got right there, and you can take your pry bar. I'm gonna simulate with this, right? And you can take it in there and push down on there. Use the body of the car and push down up there. That'll compress that shock down. That way you can push it up in there. So all it has to do is slide back in that hole. Now it looks easy because it's already pushed up in there now. And that's another thing, when you're lining it back up, this is another thing you're using this your jack for. Use that to control the lower control arm. As you can see, I want to show you me lowering my jack and show you how that controls that slowly. So I got my jack in there. Watch it drops. Oh, drop kind of fast, but you see how it drops, right? Now it's not under load, right? But like I say again, when you want to put it back on under load, when you're putting that bolt back in there, you're gonna jack it up. As you can see, it's sliding back up. You can see it moving, and that's when you put that bolt back in there. But it's real simple, guys, changing out these rear shocks. Now the front is totally different because you have to take the old. See, over here it's independent. The rears are independent. The spring is by itself away from the shock, but on the front, the coils are actually on the shock. So what I'm gonna have to do is take the coils off of the shock with this tool and put them back on the front. So that'll be a whole different video right there, guys. So that's real simple how to do that. Stay tuned, Stunner.